Arsenal fans, we have a major transfer story developing at the Emirates, and this one could signal the end of Gabriel Martinelli's 7-year career with the Gunners. Reports are now claiming that Al-Hilal have opened talks with Arsenal over a potential £60 million deal for the Brazilian winger, while Martinelli himself is reportedly open to a move to Saudi Arabia. This is a huge development because Martinelli has been an important part of Arsenal's squad since arriving from Ituano back in 2019. But after being left out of Arsenal's squad for both the Community Shield and the opening Premier League match against Coventry City, questions about his future have become impossible to ignore. And there is another side to this story. Arsenal legend Ian Wright has publicly expressed his discomfort with the way Martinelli is being treated, arguing that the Brazilian deserves more respect after everything he has contributed to the club. So today we're breaking down the entire situation. Why has Martinelli suddenly become surplus to requirements? Why are Arsenal willing to sell him? What is happening with Al-Hilal? Could Martinelli really leave the Emirates this summer? And what would his departure mean for Mikel Arteta's squad? Let's get straight into it. Let's start with the biggest development. Gabriel Martinelli's Arsenal future is now seriously uncertain. The Brazilian has been left out of Arsenal's matchday squads for the Community Shield and their opening Premier League game against Coventry City. That is extremely significant. Martinelli has been part of Arsenal's first-team squad throughout Mikel Arteta's time as manager. He has made hundreds of appearances for the club, scored important goals and played a major role during Arsenal's recent rise. But Arsenal have now reached a point where they appear prepared to listen to offers for the winger. And according to reports, the club view Martinelli as one of their most sellable assets. That doesn't necessarily mean Arsenal don't rate him. Instead, it appears to be about squad competition, recruitment and the club's desire to make another major attacking addition. Arsenal have already strengthened their attack with the arrival of Christos Tzolis, while other players are competing for places on the wings. And that has created a difficult situation for Martinelli. He is no longer guaranteed the kind of role he previously enjoyed. For a player who has been such an important figure at Arsenal, being completely left out of matchday squads is a major signal, and now a potential exit is becoming increasingly realistic. Now let's talk about the club that could potentially give Arsenal a way out. Al-Hilal. Reports say the Saudi Pro League giants have opened negotiations with Arsenal over a deal for Martinelli. The proposed fee is reportedly around £60 million. If Arsenal can achieve that kind of figure, it would represent a significant return for a player they signed from Ituano in 2019. Martinelli arrived in England as a relatively unknown teenager, but over the last 7 years he developed into an important Premier League attacker. According to the reports, Martinelli is also open to the possibility of moving to Saudi Arabia. That is important because he has already rejected interest from Galatasaray. So if Martinelli is prepared to consider Al-Hilal, the Saudi club could potentially become one of the most serious options for his future. However, we have to make one thing very clear. A transfer has not been completed. Talks are reportedly taking place, but negotiations still have to reach an agreement. Arsenal have a valuation. Al-Hilal have their own position. Martinelli also has to decide what is best for his career. So Arsenal fans should not treat this as a done deal yet. But the fact that negotiations have reportedly opened shows that this situation has moved to another level. So why has this happened? Why would a player who has been such an important part of Arsenal suddenly become available? The answer appears to be competition. Arsenal are trying to build a squad capable of competing at the very highest level. On the left wing, Martinelli now faces competition from new signing Christos Tzolis. There is also competition from other attacking players across the front line. Arsenal have also been linked with another major attacking signing, and if the club successfully brings in another elite forward, Martinelli's position in the squad could become even more difficult. There is also the question of tactical preferences. Arteta wants his team to be flexible. He wants players who can contribute in possession, press aggressively and fit different tactical systems. Martinelli still has tremendous qualities. His pace is dangerous, his movement is dangerous, his ability to attack space is dangerous, but football is constantly changing, and sometimes a player can still be talented while simultaneously becoming expendable because the manager wants a different profile. That appears to be what could be happening here. Now let's look at the financial side. Arsenal reportedly want around £60 million for Martinelli. That is a significant amount of money. If the Gunners can secure that fee, the funds could potentially be used to strengthen another area of the squad. And this is where the story connects to Arsenal's wider transfer strategy. The club are looking at attacking reinforcements. They have been linked with major names such as Julian Alvarez and Victor Osimhen. So imagine the situation. Arsenal sell Martinelli for around £60 million. They then use part of the money to help fund another major attacking signing. From the club's perspective, that could make sense. You're losing one attacker, but potentially replacing him with a player who Arteta believes can take the team to another level. Of course, supporters will judge that decision based on what happens on the pitch. If Martinelli leaves and Arsenal struggle to replace his pace, goals and directness, people will question the decision. But if Arsenal sign another elite attacker and continue winning trophies, the decision could eventually be viewed very differently. That's the risk and reward of transfer decisions. And then we come to Mikel Arteta. The Arsenal manager has a difficult decision to make. Arteta has worked with Martinelli for years. He knows the player's strengths. He knows his weaknesses. And he knows what Martinelli can potentially give the team. But managers cannot make decisions based purely on loyalty. Arteta has to think about Arsenal's future. If he believes another player gives Arsenal a better chance of winning trophies, then he has to make that decision. That's the reality of elite football. And Arteta has already shown that he is prepared to make difficult decisions. The Arsenal manager has also spoken about the importance of being honest and transparent with players when difficult decisions have to be made. So if Martinelli is eventually sold, Arsenal will hope the decision is understood as a football decision rather than a personal one. But for supporters, emotions will naturally be involved. So what happens next? The immediate focus is on the negotiations between Arsenal and Al-Hilal. If Al-Hilal are prepared to meet Arsenal's valuation, the deal could move quickly. Martinelli would then have to agree personal terms and complete the necessary formalities. But if the two clubs cannot agree on a fee, the situation could continue. Arsenal could potentially keep Martinelli. Another club could enter the race. Or Martinelli could remain at the Emirates and fight for his place. Nothing is completely guaranteed yet. But the fact that he has been left out of Arsenal's recent squads and that talks with Al-Hilal are reportedly underway means this is now a situation Arsenal fans need to watch very closely. And with the transfer window approaching its deadline, there isn't an unlimited amount of time. So Arsenal fans, here is the big question. Should Arsenal sell Gabriel Martinelli for around £60 million? On one side, you have a player who has given Arsenal 7 years of service. A player with pace. A player with goals. A player who has produced important moments. And a player who still has plenty of years ahead of him. On the other side, Arsenal are trying to build an even stronger squad. If Arteta believes Martinelli is no longer going to receive enough playing time, selling him could make financial and sporting sense. And if the £60 million is then reinvested into another elite attacker, Arsenal could potentially benefit from the move. But there is always a danger when you let quality players leave. Because once Martinelli walks through the Emirates exit door, you cannot guarantee that his replacement will immediately deliver. That's what makes this such a fascinating transfer story. So what do you think? Should Arsenal accept Al-Hilal's reported £60 million interest? Would you keep Gabriel Martinelli at the Emirates? Or do you think it is simply time for both sides to move on? And if Martinelli leaves, who should Arsenal sign next? Julian Alvarez? Victor Osimhen? Or should Arteta trust the attacking options he already has? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this Arsenal transfer update, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next breaking Arsenal story. Because with the transfer window approaching its final stages, this Martinelli situation could change very quickly. For now, one thing is clear. Gabriel Martinelli's Arsenal future is hanging in the balance. And if Al-Hilal can agree a deal with the Gunners, we could be witnessing the end of one of the most interesting Arsenal chapters of the Arteta era. Thanks for watching. Come on, you Gunners.